Bible say, yea, though she walked in the valley with the shadow of Little Red Riding Hood and the three bears, she feared no evil, because the three little pigs was not around.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hey, welcome back to Bandwagon fans. This is Jeff, and tonight I am joined by Emmett. So I was gone for a few days hiking down to Havasupai Falls, a wonderful trip. And now that I'm back, Emmett wants to be right next to me as much as he can. So he's going to be hanging out with us for a little bit. And we are going to be talking about Tyler Perry's A Madea Family Funeral. Before we get going about the movie, just want to invite everybody to go and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and if you feel so inclined, go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about Emmett. He's a little cutie, isn't he? So, before we get going about the movie, go ahead and enjoy some highlights from the trailer.
We here because your dad is dead. Now me coordinating the funeral. I hope y'all can appreciate what I'm going to try to do.
And if you need anything, just let us know.
I know it's about funerals. I done buried a lot of men. A lot of them.
That funeral gonna be messed up.
This is the church. If you come up here with that bull, I don't mind busting you in your face, throwing asking Jesus to forgive me.
Oh my God.
I'm a real thug. I'm an OG, M-A-D-E-A.
Alright, so this is Tyler Perry's A Madea Family Funeral. And I gotta say, so this is my first time seeing a Madea movie. My second Tyler Perry movie, and I was not happy with the first one, Acrimony, came out last year. And as far as Madea goes, my initial reaction is this is the worst movie that I'm going to end up enjoying. It's kind of baffling how this so obviously this is a comedy. The setup is, and for those, if you're stumbling upon this video, you probably know much more about Madea than I do. But Madea is a character played by Tyler Perry in drag, and is an older, really tough, sassy woman. May or may not be a guy dressed as a woman. It's kind of ambiguous in the movie, or they do a lot of jokes about it in the movie. But presumably he is playing a woman. It's all right. So presumably he is playing an actual woman, not a guy in drag, even though he is a guy in drag. And then he also plays several other characters, and within several other characters, and then there's several other people, and it's all one big family. And in this particular movie, one of the family members, the dad of several of the characters, passes away, and then it leads up to his funeral. And amidst all this is all the comedy, particularly coming from the various characters that Madea plays and her circle of friends. So this movie is kind of a mashup of a really serious melodrama, and that's all the non Tyler Perry characters are enmeshed in this melodrama, this family drama of people cheating on each other, and people possibly getting divorced, people trying to reconcile relationships. So you have all this going on, and then you have Madea and her group of friends that crashes it, and it's kind of a weird mix of melodrama and fart jokes, and melodrama and dick jokes. And the end result is 3 or 4 minutes of god-awful film, punctuated by somebody saying something that just had me and everybody in the audience just, gut-busting laughing. So if you can tolerate minutes at a time of just bad movie, the laughs are there, and they make the whole thing kind of actually worthwhile. So we'll talk about, so that's kind of the setup of the movie. We'll talk about some of the good things. One thing I was really surprised about is, as bad as the melodrama was, it actually built up to something kind of cool. And at the end of the movie, I was like, hey, it had a good payoff at the end, even though it was unbearable throughout most of the movie. And a lot of that payoff really had to do with, let me see if I can find her name again. Jen Harper, I think was her name. Let me just verify this real quick. Yeah, so Jen Harper, she played the mom. She played the matriarch of the family whose husband had passed away. And the movie really, she was kind of underutilized throughout the movie, but when she had her moment to shine, she really took advantage of it, and so that paid off really well. Other things that worked out really well. Tyler Perry, he played 4 different characters in the movie. One was straight, was basically just him. Then that character was Brian. Then obviously played Madea, and the 2 other characters were Joe and Heathrow, who is not a paraplegic, but a double leg amputee in a wheelchair, who had lung cancer or throat cancer at some point, so he was talking out of a microphone. And he was kind of like the poop joke of the movie. Anytime somebody needed some scatological humor, he would come in and do it, and he's kind of, everybody recognized him as kind of the crazy, dirty uncle, and he really went to town with that, and really provided some of the best humor throughout the movie. Another standout performance for me was KJ Smith. She was kind of married into the family and kind of played the kind of judgmental woman character. But she was one of the few characters in the movie that had actual growth and learned something throughout the movie. And I really found myself appreciating her character, her performance. And so, although she wasn't particularly funny, she held the melodrama part together. She definitely helped. She kind of made that part work when it did. And like I said, every few minutes, there would be a line from somebody in the movie that just had me laughing, and then there were other things that most of the audience was laughing, who got probably more familiar with the character, probably more familiar with the subject matter. So other people laughed more than I did, but I definitely was laughing regularly, consistently throughout the movie. And really, that's really all you can ask for from a comedy. If it consistently makes you laugh, it did its job. Now moving on to some of the things that just didn't work and why I say it was such a bad movie. First off, the cinematography was atrocious, and in a movie like this, you shouldn't notice the cinematography. It's basically just a locked down camera on a scene, or cutting between 2 characters. But even that, they managed to screw up. And so there's one scene early on where everybody's it's kind of a wide shot of a bunch of people standing, parallel or standing in a row in a kitchen talking around the kitchen counter. And I forget which character it was, but she kind of walks around the back of everybody else. And as she comes around to the other side, while she's talking, she walks out of frame. So the character who is talking literally walked out of frame and then walked back in. That should have been cut, reshot, and she should just open the camera up or tell her to not walk out of frame. It's inexcusable for a major motion picture to have that kind of mistake. And just some of the editing was really choppy. Some scenes dragged on way too long. There were edits for where it would jump from one scene to the next where that made no sense whatsoever, and it was kind of confusing how the scenes would relate to each other. And then just overall, the overall look and feel of it was more Lifetime movie than what we expect to see in a major motion picture. Like no attempt at color grading, no attempt at anything creative, just super fast. It looked like it was shot super fast, super low budget, only a couple sets, and very little time for reshooting or correcting mistakes. Some of the performances. Okay, there were 2 performances that were just grating on my nerves the whole movie. One was Patrice Lovely, played the character's name is Hattie, and she was this older, one of Medea's friends, so one of the comic relief characters in a movie that's not short of comic relief characters. But just her voice, her affectations, meant to be grating and annoying to the other characters of the movie, but were really just grating and annoying to me and us, the audience. just over the top, and they gave her too many lines for somebody you can't give that much material to somebody who is inherently annoying. So I didn't find it funny. I just wanted her to shut up. The other one that kind of stood out in a bad way was actually Tyler Perry when he played Brian, which was basically just himself. And that character was so subdued that it was he didn't mesh with the melodrama part. He didn't really mesh with the comedy part. Just every time that character opened his mouth and said something, it just sucked the life out of the entire film. So those two characters really stood out, and just the whole family dynamic when it wasn't with the comical characters. The melodrama just was kind of weighed down. It just dragged on, and you could see where things were going, but you just kind of wished it would move along a little bit faster. And you could tell they had to pad the runtime a little bit. But so overall, Amos just kind of sleeping over there now. But anyway, so overall, I'm actually surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I would not ever want to watch it again, but it was fun enough, and that's pretty much it. Just chances are, I don't know who I would recommend this movie to. It is, in one way, they do make a couple of jokes in the movie about white people, and this is clearly not a movie meant for a broad audience. This is a movie meant for it's kind of a loving send up of Southern Black culture, particularly like church-based culture. And if you're in that community, you're probably going to relate to this movie a lot better than say I would. But I also don't want to be patronizing and just say that if you're in that community, you would enjoy this movie. Quite frankly, I don't know if you would or not. All I can say is it had enough laughs for me to enjoy watching it, but if I had to watch it again, the laughs wouldn't be there, and I would just be thinking about all the annoying stuff in the movie. So it's hard to say, hard to recommend it. It's got a very particular audience. If you're within that audience, and that's part of your culture, particularly that faith, that church-based culture, you might enjoy it, but I can't see it being more than like something you would pay, go watch at a matinee or maybe stream it on Netflix. But for most of us, it might be worth streaming. Who knows? But anyways, that's my take on Tyler Perry's Madea Family Funeral. Go ahead and leave your comments below. Tell me where I went wrong. I know the last Tyler Perry movie I did was my most viewed and most commented on video, so I'm kind of curious what could happen with this one. But overall, definitely better than Acrimony, but far from being a really good polished movie. So, once again, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff. Get on the bandwagon.